All right, peace, world. Patrick Kimon Freeman, Angry Black Man in Therapy, representing We Act Radio. All right, as promised, 9 o'clock, we're going live, talk about what everyone's talking about. It's been a hell of a day, Super Sunday. We're going to talk about FBI, we're going to talk about Trayon White, and we're going to talk about WPFW. And this is a community town hall, so people are welcome to join in. If you got something you want to add to this conversation, you can ask to join in. I'll bring you on, and as long as it's a fruitful conversation. But this is our platform. This is where we're supposed to have the pure, unadulterated, butt-naked truth-telling. Because as We Act Radio, when we say do something, truth is our product. All right, and shout out to Trayon. I hope he's doing well and holding up under the pressure. As you know, he borrowed We Act Radio's motto to do something, so we have some sort of affinity for Trayon. And we also have to acknowledge that We Act Radio's Anacostia Unmapped Studios on the radical side of Monarchy Avenue is in his district. He represents Anacostia, so we felt compelled to speak up and to speak loudly. And of course, our mother station, WPFW, who has been taken off air, that was hacked, for those who do not know. We don't know if it was hacked today or how long they've been off air, but they are currently still off air. And I want to start with the conversation about PFW. That is our DC affiliate Pacifica station. For those who do not know, they came to our aid when We Act Radio was first taken off of air, which was a robbery, a devastating robbery. To this day, I accuse the powers that be to do responsible for that devastating robbery. And real quick, the cameras on our block didn't work during that robbery. The hinges of our door was taken off its hinges in the back. The alarm system was circumvented. Okay, the cameras was disabled. They came in and they bypassed the alarm system. And 2 weeks prior, the feds came in and did a sweep of our studio. 9 cops came in to sweep the studio, and then 2 weeks later, we was robbed of everything except one camera and a mixing board, which combined was probably worth like over $1,000, maybe $1,500 or more. But they managed to take all of our hard drives, 3 hard drives. Now, why would you take hard drives, but leave stuff that has street value here when you have all the time in the world? Okay, so we're gonna put that out there. This is where we are. We're in the Battle of the Beast. So let me start with WPFW. Okay, and you can send a request if you got something you want to add to this conversation when we get into the good part with Trayon and the FBI. But let's start with PFW. This is WPFW's statement. All right. If you've been listening, you notice that WPFW is dealing with a number of technical challenges. This is due to a denial of service hack, accomplished by flooding the target host or network with traffic until the target cannot respond or simply crashes, preventing access for legitimate users. This has happened to We Act Radio, and we're going to talk about that, what we can do about that in a moment. This is why it's even more urgent for you to support WPFW. And this is getting into some of the history background for those who are unfamiliar with PFW and the Pacifica Network itself. You may not always agree with what you hear on air, but you must value the fact that there's media that's unembedded and beholden only to the listeners, not to a corporate entity. There's only 6 corporations in America that control 90% of what you see here and read, almost more than 90% of what you see here and read. In fact, in terms of talk radio, 92% of all talk radio in America is right-wing, conservative, underwritten. Okay, that's why boycotting them don't work, because they got endless money. Okay, only 8% of talk radio in America is progressive or can be accused of being progressive. NPR is kind of like liberal, progressive-ish. Okay, but you get the picture. All right. Now, whether you listen to music or public affairs, the way things are presented on air is not replicated everywhere else. This is PFW's statement. This is not the first time a Pacifica station has been under attack. The Klan in Houston, Texas, bombed the transmitter at KPFT twice to silence them. It did not work then, and it's not going to work now. We know there are many more of you out there of conscience that believe in the mission of jazz and justice than there are those that would work to silence us. Okay? This is WPFW's statement of being taken off air from my hat, okay? Now, since we're going to start the conversation with a history, let's talk about the FBI, all right? Because we can't jump into like, oh, what did he do? He ain't have to do nothing. Let's start there. Who is the accusator? This is the FBI. And for those who do not know about the FBI, let me introduce you to COINTELPRO. All right. Now, under J. Edgar Hoover, who was the founding director of the FBI, the 40 years under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI was, and still carries his name. The director of FBI's COINTELPRO program was aimed at investigating and disrupting dissident political groups within the United States. COINTELPRO's targets frequently included civil rights activists, and that included everyone from MLK to the Black Panthers, okay? Now, this was an attempt to limit their effectiveness. Now, in practice, the FBI used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and sometimes extra legal intimidation and violence, okay, against King, the Panthers, and other black activists in attempts to discredit and disrupt them. Attempt to discredit and disrupt them, okay? Now, having said that, the theme of this program should be discredit and disrupt. That's what we should be focused on. Did anyone send me a request? Whatever did they say he did, he didn't. Okay. And y'all can put questions in here and we'll try to get to it. Whatever they say he didn't, he did, he didn't. Okay, thank you. All right, well, let's find out. Okay, now, for those who are unaware, how have they tried to discredit Trayon? The first thing is when my brother misspoke and they said, the Rothschilds was controlling the weather. They ain't never let him live that down. What my brother should have said is that HAARP, HAARP, HAARP controls the weather, can control the weather. Look that up, HAARP. That is actually an agency that does alter weather patterns, okay? My brother stuck his foot in his mouth and he could never get it out, and they're never gonna let him live that one down. But he could have came back with that, okay? That's what experience and wisdom and age can give to you. My brother he was thrust into the spotlight as a young man, and he has a good heart, so I'm here to vouch for his intentions. So that is one of the things that have been used to discredit him. I don't know if y'all know this, but that was a shot heard around the world when he said that the Rothschilds control weather. It wasn't just the Washington Post, and that's big enough, but I'm talking about international news, okay, to discredit my brother. So now, and that was his first term, if I'm not mistaken, when that came out. So now he's like a pariah on the council because nobody wants to touch him when he's trying to propose legislation. Nobody wants to co-sign on it, get too cozy with him, okay? So that was the discredit part. Now, the disrupt part, what are we looking at? Let's look at this. My man was arrested in Navy Yard, which is actually his district now, okay? The whitest, wealthy, affluent part of his district. And what these people, Trayon hitting women, nobody discrediting him, he allowed and deserved to be behind bars. Okay, well, that is an accusation and it needs to be addressed. But what we're saying is that is not an FBI issue, sweetheart. If he is guilty of that, then boom. Even if he hit you in the Navy Yard, that is not a Federal Bureau of Investigation issue. That is a DC police issue. So that's not it. If he's guilty of that, then he should have to address that. And I'm sorry that something happened to you, and you have a right to be upset about anything that happens, because anyone who has been a victim of sexual abuse or violence should immediately report it to police. I'm officially a political arena participant now because my name has been kicked around in such spaces and accusations. So if that is the case, then you should immediately file charges. Anyone who is a victim of sexual abuse or physical violence should immediately report it to the police, okay? Full stop, okay? Now, having said that, back to the point at hand, he's arrested in his newly acquired redistricting of the wealthiest white part of his district in Navy Yard. Why am I saying this? Because they deal in symbolism. Okay, our enemies deal in symbolism. And for those who think I'm getting into some conspiracy theories, let me give you a little bit more history. Jesus Juice on Sunday. Now, the fact is, I learned this from Big Brother Tony Browder, Egypt on the Potomac tour. I urge everyone to take that tour. You'll learn something about this city and how much symbolism is around us and that you don't understand what's going on. Point and take in this is that every circle in DC has a white man on a horse. Every circle you come to in DC has a white man on a horse. It represents a military accomplishment of this man on a horse. Now, what you might not know is that if the rider on that horse is on 4 hoofs, if all 4 hoofs are down, then the rider of that horse died of natural causes. If the rider of that horse has 1 hoof up, then the rider of that horse died of injuries he incurred in battle. And if the horse is reared up on his hind legs, then that motherfucker died right there on the spot on the battlefield. Okay? They throwing up gang signs and we don't recognize what's happening. Okay? So let's stick to the script. So they arrest him in the wealthiest white area of his district, right? Publicly, going to the man's car and everything. This is public. They do things in public. All right, they could have arrested him anywhere, quietly, in the garage, and could have knocked his door at his house when he's coming out the house, or whatever. They could have did this quietly if they wanted to. They wanted to make a spectacle of this. All right, that's the first thing. Now, why would they arrest him on Sunday? Anybody that has been arrested before knows you don't want to get arrested on the weekend. You ain't going away, okay? They arrested him on Sunday because they wanted to have an opportunity all night. He ain't coming home tomorrow to talk to this man. And they don't have to announce his charges until he gets in front of the court, which would be tomorrow. So that means from my 13 years in media and my 40 years of being black in Washington, D.C., that means they wanted to talk to him. They want to talk to him. They want to see where he is on whatever the issue is. And they want to see which way he's going to go. And that's going to frame the charges if they offer any charges. Because we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. You know they can hold you for 24 hours without charge. Okay? They actually can hold you for 24 hours without charge. In fact, there's some laws in the books. I can't think of the name, but your boy Barack Obama signed that if under certain charges, enemy combatants or some crap, they can hold you longer than that. Indefinite is the way I remember if you've been accused of being an enemy combatant, but that's some terrorist stuff. But, you know, the fact remains is that who has been arrested that's been on DC Council? Let's run down the list. People who have been arrested. Kwame Brown has been arrested. Michael Brown has been arrested. Michael Brown, son of the distinguished Ron Brown, who was killed in a plane crash. He was in the Clinton administration, and his son he went to jail for taking the bribe money. You know, sticking a stack of money to his ear, and that was before the rappers did it. Now, he's actually running against me in the general election, challenging Eleanor Holmes Norton, an 87-year-old, 35-year Democratic incumbent. This dude, the dude with a stack of money to his ear, who did time in the feds, is now challenging. So we'll see that in the general election. All right, so Kwame Brown, Michael Brown, who else? Oh, the list is long. What's Harry's name? Brother Harry. I'm no disrespect to Harry. His name just escaping me right now. But Harry, Ward 5 Harry, he was arrested, did time. Who else was arrested? Even Marion Barry was arrested. Who else was arrested? Somebody else was arrested. The white brother, he passed away. The white gay brother that represented U Street. And he was nice to me, obviously. But I'm sorry, I should be looking up these people's names, but y'all got it. All of these people, Harry Thomas, thank you, Harry Thomas. He did time too. But the Mr. Graham, something Graham, Jim Graham, thank you. See, my informed people, this is a community. Jim Graham was arrested. So Michael Brown, Ron Brown, Harry Thomas, Jim Graham, right? Marion Barry, okay? That's 5, okay. But you know who wasn't arrested? You know who wasn't charged with anything? The chairman. And I'm not talking about Phil Millicent. I'm talking about Jack Evans. Jack Evans has a doctorate degree, a PhD in corruption. These other brothers, they had GEDs. they had a lot less experience than the chairman had. Jack Evans. For those who do not know, Jack Evans, we at Radio did a whole expose based upon the research and investigative reporting of the great Pete Tucker. Pete Tucker did an investigative reporting on the criminal activity of Jack Evans. And we had, when We Act Radio first launched, we had a TV program that was airing on not DCTV, the cable television, DC's cable television. I forget the name of their cable television network station. But they was airing our content. We had Rock Newman on before the Rock Newman show was launched. We had the late great, where's my brother at? We had the late great Joe Madison on, the Black Eagle. This is a postcard he sent to me. It says, "Thank you for the interview. The station is sounding great." One of my mentors, Joe Madison, representing. Okay, all that was televised. We had Jack Evans on. You know what they had? You know what they did? They pulled the plug. They canceled our program. No more televised. You know why? Because Jack Evans was on the sat on the committee that divvied out the funding for DC's awful cable television. And they were scared that our investigative reporting, our expose would infuriate him and it would affect their funding. So they pulled the plug on us. Yes, they pulled the plug on us. Now, fast forward 7-8 years later, the same report that we made comes out, and now everybody is up on it like it's new news. But we was on it 7 or 8 years before. We Act Radio broke and Pete Tucker, an investigative reporter, Pete Tucker, but our platform launched that investigative reporting. But you ain't hear nothing about that. They tried to silence us. Right? Just like they trying to silence the WPFW, and might be just like they're trying to silence our brother. Okay, now what is special about Trayon? We had all these council members charged, but back to Jack Evans, I didn't finish on that. I'm going to share on We Act Radio's Facebook page. You can go back to Facebook page, the interview. You can go look up Jack Evans Mixcloud, We Act Radio right now, but I'm gonna post the interview to give you a whole history of all the illegalities that Jack Evans was involved in. But real quick, what he would do was, because he controlled the purses of the council for so long. He was the longest sitting council member. I think he did 30 years on the council or something like that. So he had all the connects in the city. He worked for a firm where he would go basically represent their interests in acquiring new properties. And he negotiated the baseball stadium, that baseball stadium. The Lerner family that owns the baseball stadium that DC taxpayers paid for. Follow me now. Martin Luther King said they have socialism for the rich and rugged capitalism for the poor. So the national baseball stadium was paid with your taxpayer money. You paid for the building. You paid to construct the building. And when the building was built, then the Lerner family owns it. You feel me? Can you imagine that? The city builds you your house, and then you own the house. They don't happen to you. Happen to rich people. So Jack Evans negotiated that deal. Then when he negotiates that deal, he recuses himself when it comes up for examination and a vote on the council. And so he gets a check from the council. He gets a check from the firm that he represented for this transaction, and he steps back paid with hands in his pocket. Okay, that's just tip of the iceberg. And you know, when we say tip of the iceberg, what you see is just a small portion. The massive weight of that is beneath the surface. And so go to We Act Radio. It's not going to be doing now. I'm going to post it after this video. We Act Radio's Facebook page, and I'm going to tweet it, because I don't call it X. I still call it Twitter. But we're going to share that interview so you can go get informed. All right, now, anybody wanted to join? Anybody requested had something want to join? Anybody had a question? How do I get a shirt? Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you. Go to We Act Radio. We Act Radio. I'm gonna switch hats. Go to Freeman, the number 4 Congress.com. Freeman, the number 4 Congress.com, and send us an email, and we'll get that shirt out to you. In fact, while I'm here, everyone, please meet me at 8th Street Festival, September 21st. I need 100 volunteers to meet me at the 8th Street Festival. All I want you to do is to meet me at the 8th Street Festival, grab a shirt, and rock it at the festival, okay? Rock it at the festival. It's 100,000 people going to be at the 8th Street Festival. It's 8 blocks long. It's the city's biggest block party. I got a spot there. I got 2 venues that's supporting us. Shout out to the Pug, the Pug on 8th Street, and shout out to Hill Prince, Chef Rock, also on 8th Street, for supporting the brother. I'm so grateful, so grateful. Thank you. But everyone, please put that on your calendar. Let me know that you're coming. I need 100 volunteers to come out and meet me at the 8th Street Festival and rock our Freeman for Congress t-shirt. We need a revolution of values. And I'm sorry I started 2 minutes late on this thing because I had some phone calls, people telling me don't go too hard, I might be next. Dude, my heart don't pump no Kool-Aid. That's what we're here for, okay? All my heroes have been contacted. I hope Trayon feels inspired that he has reached the elevation of being contacted by the FBI, okay? Because Martin Luther King said that whenever they was meeting, it was always them, Jesus, and the FBI, okay? All right, so thank you, Ladybug, for asking for the shirt. Anybody? I ain't seen a request to come on. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna keep going. Anybody? What time? Okay, what time I'm having the neighborhood clean up the New York? We really want to come on this for hours. Okay, all right. Okay, the 8th Street Festival is an all-day affair. I'm gonna be out there from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Try to get the shirt before then, because obviously you don't want to do the cleanup in the shirt, you know, because it's white, but we'll work something out. But Freeman, the number 4 Congress.com. Also, my next big event is Wednesday, September 21st, August the 21st, next Wednesday. I will be at Busboys and Poets, the Brooklyn Busboys and Poets, from 6 to 9 p.m. We are screening a film called They Are Trying to Kill Us. Apropos, right? They are trying to kill us. That shows the Venn diagram between the food that we're eating, the food industry in America, the pharmaceutical companies in America, and also the health insurance companies in America. There are entities that invest money in all 3 of those with a Venn diagram looking like circles at the Olympics. And because they understand that if you're eating this crap, you're going to need that medicine and you're going to see that doctor. And they making money hand over fist, okay? I just got back from Toronto. I want everyone to remember high fructose corn syrup. You should be reading labels on everything. High fructose corn syrup. If you don't do nothing but eliminate that from your diet, you will have a tremendous health boost. High fructose corn syrup. Okay, read labels. It's in every fucking thing. Got to read labels. Okay, please read your labels. High fructose corn syrup. Okay, was in Toronto. I'm reading labels on everything, and guess what? I ain't see it in nothing. In America, it's in everything, and in Toronto, Canada, I ain't see it in nothing. Dick Gregory said that we're digging our graves with our teeth. Digging our graves with our teeth. Now, with Trayon, we got to recognize that, and this is where I disagree with my brother, is that we need to start talking about the root causes of violence and crime. And we haven't gotten into that. Did you know that if the undeveloped mind, I submit that's anybody that's under 21, maybe 25 for men who develop a little slower than women, if they're devoid of 4 key nutrients, they are 51% more prone to violent behavior. When I say this to people, oh, you're making excuses for criminals. I'm not. I just gave you a scientific fact, Look it up. And let me break it down for you. If you give a kid too much sugar and tell them to sit down and be quiet, what is going to happen? They're going to be bouncing off the wall. Now, is it the kid or what's in the kid? What you put into the kid? How about that? And we be telling the truth and we're not even hearing ourselves talking. I don't know what's gotten into these kids. They just committing all these acts of senseless violence. Now, I haven't even gotten into poverty. Haven't even gotten into lead. Lead is in the pipes. DC Water has given us a deadline for 2030 to replace all the lead pipes in the city. Now they're saying they're not going to meet that deadline. So there's lead pipes still in operation in this city. And guess where they predominantly are going to be located? In poor black neighborhoods. You know it. So kids have still been exposed to lead. And so when I had a meeting with the DC, officials from the Department of Justice, Injustice, I would say, shout out to Anacostia Coordinating Council for convening this meeting. But there's a new division in the Department of Justice that investigates housing abuses and living conditions, a civil rights division, and it focuses on housing, environmental issues, right? And they looking into like landlords who are using their power over vulnerable women, do something strange for the change if you want to, don't get kicked out type of situation. And they talked about lead paint, but I brought up the issue of how lead not only contributes to learning disabilities, but contributes to violent behavior. Okay, another scientific fact, look that up. And I said, well, when these kids commit acts of violence, is anyone testing them for lead exposure, lead contamination, levels of lead in their blood? And there's no acceptable level of lead in the human body, period. There's none, okay? When they tell you it was a low level of lead, there's no acceptable amount of lead in the human body, okay? They said, no, they haven't done that. And I'm supposed to be meeting with them. We're going to talk about this some more as that goes forward. But you know why they don't test that? Because then they will show a systematic proof of their culpability in the violence in our communities. Okay? So I want to put that out there. We got to start thinking very broadly, the revolution of values that we're talking about. Now, I hope my brother, we got a request. All right, I see one. Who's the request? Marsha? Oh, my goodness, the songbird. I was set. Oh, did you, Marsha? As soon as I see you, Marsha, as soon as I saw you, Marsha, so hit me again if you're still up there. I'm going to try to send you an invitation. I don't see how I can do that right here. Hold on a second, Marsha. I'm so sorry. I don't know. There is you. Let's see if that's going to accept. So for those enjoying, I'm sorry, I said at the beginning, but repeat it again. Anyone who wants to join the conversation can jump in here. This is a community town hall. Obviously, it's a very, the red pill. Shout out to my brother, DJ One Love. Scanning can tell you what they poison cousin in the food that we eat. Ooh, Yucca food and cosmetic. Okay. All right, Miss Marie Jones. I hope you can make it out to our screening on Wednesday. I've been saying Tuesday. On Wednesday, the 21st from 69 at Brooklyn Busboys and Poets. I would make sure I look up Yucca food and cosmetic scan. That's dope. I did not know that. I hope you can make it out to the event and you can speak on it. And I know you saw the film too with your kids in the DC Marion Barry employment program. Okay, okay, it says Marcia, you're unable to join. I know because the powers that be. Ever since Facebook bought IG, there's always been some stuff with joining. So try again. Keep trying. It takes like 2 or 3 attempts to make the connection. I would love to talk to you. All right, I'll try to send it. You can try to send me a request. You can try to send me a request because it did ring, and before I could have stepped you, we lost it. So please try again. And anyone else that wants to join. So I want to make sure that we talked about WPFW been taken off air. The history of Pacifica radio station's been. She turned on a video. Okay, here we go. All right, Miss Marcia. Now you can't be joining it and you're not on camera now. Where's your pretty face? You gotta look into the camera. You gotta look to the camera, Miss Marcia.
Oh, what?
You okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Now, it's not gonna work if
Look,
I.
no, it's not going to be a CU day. I was trying to listen in because I wanted to know what was happening with the council member, so I didn't realize that. Can I not listen in?
I mean, once you didn't see the video.
No, I didn't. I just came on. Just came on.
Okay,
So I should look back at the video then, huh?
Yeah, you should watch the video. So we're gonna let you go because
Okay, cool. I'll do
okay,
that.
okay,
Thanks.
all right,
Bye bye.
all right. You will have to stop your camera, Miss Marcia, so we can keep moving. Okay, all right, all right. You should be able to watch the video just by being on. You don't have to log on to watch the video and be part of the conversation. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? Peace, peace. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. For those who missed it, PFW was taken off air. Shout out to my man Zakai Free. He made the notion that they taken off right before the Democratic National Convention. And for those who don't, it's not privy to the activist community. There's a whole civil war going on because Kamala Harris, I don't want to sound disrespectful, Kamala, am I saying it correctly? Please, no disrespect. I don't rock with her, but no disrespect, because I don't want to be lumped in with the racists and the right-wing idiots, okay? Very dangerous idiots, by the way. But we need to start asking ourselves, because I'm old enough to remember the hysteria around Obama, okay? The 8 years of Obama, where we felt good for a moment, but we didn't get anything from it. We didn't get anything out of it, okay? People say, oh yeah, he did this, he did that. Look, let me get something straight. Black people are worse off after Obama than they were before Obama. Housing, worse off. There was more black people that owned their house when housing discrimination was legal. There was more black people that own houses in this United States of America when housing discrimination was legal than now. More black people lost their houses during the Obama administration than any other period of under any other administration. All right, look this up. Okay, and we're gonna talk about his foreign policy, where he destroyed Libya, which had the highest standard of living in all of Africa. Okay, we're just gonna talk about our bottom line, the people who put him in office. Okay, let's talk about that. So if we want to get behind this VP hysteria around Miss Harris, the question should be, what are we going to get? Oh, we need to save democracy. This ain't no damn democracy. Who told you this was democracy? Anybody in D.C. that's talking about we need to save democracy, you sound like Malcolm X. He said, what's the matter, boss? We sick? Because how can you possibly be a D.C. resident and say with a straight face that we need to save democracy? D.C., you pay more taxes per capita than any state in America, and yet you don't have a vote in Congress. And yet they can tell you what to do with your budget. Your money. Some cracker in Utah can tell you that, look, we don't want to fund that. Tell you what to do with your money. But this is democracy, right? This ain't Kimon Freeman, Angry Black Man Therapy, DC State Hood Green candidate, congressional candidate talking. I am now quoting my favorite POTUS. My favorite POTUS is not Barack Obama. My favorite president of the United States is Jimmy Carter, the humanitarian. And you know what Jimmy Carter said on the Tom Hartman show on WPFW Radio? You know what he said? That this is not a democracy. It's an oligarchy. The former president, Jimmy Carter, said on Tom Hartman's show on WPFW Radio that that America is not a democracy, it's an oligarchy. All right? Look that up. Deal with that. By the way, since we talking about a woman becoming president and getting in this whole history hoopla, my favorite first lady isn't Michelle Obama either. My favorite first lady is Eleanor Roosevelt. Deal with that. I'm into substance, not symbolism. Okay, I know that make you feel good. I know those some beautiful pictures. There were some great parties. I would love to go to some Obama parties too. Go party with him in Martha Vineyard, before some bodies turned up. But that's another conversation. And you see no feds snooping around for that. So you have to ask yourself when we're talking about Trayon, why Obama cut funding to HBC? Oh my God, is that right? Obama cut funding. Remember when he was go talk to black people and be like, you need to stop complaining and do. You remember he went to Africa totally? Like, oh my God. Obama, come on, man. Problematic. Okay? Problematic. But anyway, y'all can deal with that. But in terms of Trayon and FBI, the only legality I was aware of that Trayon had an issue with was his campaign finance, right? And that's been reported, but that wouldn't warrant federal investigation because I'm running for federal office. So if they charge me, if I have an allegation of campaign finance reform, campaign finance misappropriations or whatever you call that, the feds might come for me on that one because it's a federal office. But the council is a local office, so the feds won't come after you for that. That would be U.S. Attorney General office, and D.C. Police would enforce that. So it's not that. It's not any of the issues that we are aware of. So now we only got speculation. But what we do know is that they publicly arrested him, put him on a spectacle, because they already had tried to discredit him, and now they disrupted him. Okay, after winning his next term, mind you. If the FBI arrests you, that means that is the end result of an investigation. If the FBI comes to you, that is because you have been under investigation. They have gathered evidence. They have prepared a case, and they are ready to swoop in and charge you with something. But when they do that, and they don't announce what the charge is, but they do it publicly, they're sending shots across the bow to let anybody that's affiliated with the case that they're preparing know what's going on, and they're going to pressure their arrestee to make a deal. We've seen these movies before. Okay, are we guessing why they're coming out straight? Feds haven't said why yet. No, the feds haven't said why yet. They're going to have to say something tomorrow because they only can hold it for 24 hours without charge. And our speculation is that they're talking to him. They wanted to have time to talk to him where he couldn't bail out immediately. Well, I don't think DC doesn't have cash bail bond, but you know what I'm saying. He won't be put in front of a judge until tomorrow. Okay, and I don't even think it's going to be first thing in the morning. It's probably going to be in the afternoon because what time he got arrested? I think it was like 2 o'clock. They're going to hold him up for 24 hours. So I think they're going to have they need some time to talk to him. Now, we can only speculate on what the charges are. Now, my speculation, I don't know if I should go there. I don't know if I want to go there with speculation. Let me back up off that one. I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to get into the speculation. I'm going to talk about what we do know and what it looks like. Okay? All right. Anybody want to chime in? Anybody else? I want to make sure I'm being responsive to the community here. Anybody say something? Yes, WPFW is off air now. They have been hacked. They have been under attack just like KPFT. Am I saying this right? KPFT in Houston, Texas was attacked twice by racists in Texas, and they have been taken off air. We at Radio was hacked, and we was taken off air. We put a Palestinian flag on the top of our building and we were immediately hacked. So if you go to our website, it was like a we call it a flash card placeholder for months. It still doesn't look beautiful right now, so please forgive us. But we're dealing with the powers that be. Dealing with powers that be. Anybody else got something to chime in? I had two people that's supposed to chime in on B, but it looked like they're not coming on. And I want to make sure that I covered everything. We talked about the history of the FBI. They are not an honorable organization. Their history does not reflect that. The fact that Trayon was arrested in the wealthiest, the new area of his district, Ward 8, which has been extended to the Navy Yard. He was arrested publicly in the whitest, wealthiest area of his district. That's sending a message. They went to his car on site. So, that's part of the spectacle. Just like they would take a black man, get him out of the car, sit him on the curb. And to my brothers, don't ever, never, ever, 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 ever sit on the curb. Shout out to my brother Tone, who, he saw me sit on the curb one day. I was feeling bad, feeling very down. Had got fired from the post office, lost my job, was losing everything slowly. And I was feeling bad for myself. And he was like, don't ever let me see you sitting on the curb again. And that's why they do that, try to demean you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they did to my brother. They was trying to demean him. Okay. For if they had ever arrested Jack Evans for some of the crap he did, you think they would have they would arrested him in Georgetown in the middle of the street for everybody to see? No, they would have pulled Jack aside. In fact, they would have contacted Jack's lawyer and give Jack the opportunity to turn himself in. They would have treated Jack Evans with dignity and respect. You wouldn't see Jack Evans sitting on the curb. You don't see no white kids sitting on the curb in D.C. They would have shown Jack Evans, who was probably guilty, and I can speculate on that one, who's probably guilty of more violations than any council member in the history of D.C. Council. They would have shown him a respect. He would have been allowed to turn himself in. He would have communicated with his lawyer. They would have probably never even handcuffed him. And you definitely wouldn't have saw his mugshot. Okay? True that. You can believe that. But to my brother, they wanted to make an example of him. They wanted to discredit and disrupt. So what we need to understand is it's not always just what they do. Of course, that's important. What did they do? But also what's important is when did they do it? When did they do it? That's a why. Why did you do it now? That's a very important question. Like, for example, the war in Iraq, when they invaded Iraq, which, by the way, had the highest standard of living in the Arab world, highest standard of living for all the people in the Arab world was Iraq, okay? Say what you want to say about Saddam Hussein and all the people, American leaders that shook his hand, but they had the highest standard of living. So why did they go into Iraq when they did? You know why they did it? When they did it? Because Saddam Hussein said that he was no longer going to accept U.S. money for their oil. He was going to switch from the U.S. money to the euro. And that is why the only people who was going against Iraq was Tony Blair from the remember Brexit, when Britain said we want to remove ourselves from the EU. It broke off. America and Britain double teamed Iraq. That was their money. The pound and American money. They cut a deal. He was saying we can't let this euro overtake our currency. That's why they did it when they did it. Okay? They robbed him. And y'all know it. Over a lie. Okay? And you know it. Right? Okay. Why did Obama, your boy, go into Libya when they did? Why did they go get Gaddafi when they did? Not here to argue over whether Gaddafi was a good guy, whatever. All I can tell you what the fact is that Libya had the highest standard of living in all of Africa. They had free health care, free school. Highest standard of living in all of Africa, Libya. Why did they go into Libya when they did? Because Gaddafi wanted to create a United States of Africa. He wanted to implement a gold standard, something that America hasn't had since Nixon, since Tricky Dicky. He wanted to create a gold standard. He wasn't going to accept American money for his oil no more. And he wanted them to say, give me gold if you want this oil. That would devalue the American currency. So they went and took his head off. That's what they did. Now, why did they go get Trayon today? We already talked about on Sunday, so they have at least 24 hours to hold him and talk to him, right? Hold him and talk to him. Because he got arrested on a weekday, go right in front of a judge. Got to wait till tomorrow for that. But also, just won an election, his re-election. Just won his re-election. Somebody said Black August, shout out. So it should be an honor to be arrested in Black August. Why did they wait till after he was re-elected? I told you that if you get arrested by the FBI, it's a result of an investigation. You mean to tell me this investigation wasn't wrapped up in June, 2 months ago? That's a very interesting question. Why did they arrest him now? Maybe he's doing something. Just like when they came to get Marion Barry, and I'm not talking about the councilman Marion Barry, he was arrested as a council member too. But when the feds came and got him, you know what it was. And if you watch the tape, he wasn't there for that. He was there to get that. He was there to hit that. That's what he was there for. His other addiction, right? But they spent $1 million. They spent $1 million investigating Marion Barry. And when they finally got him, it was a misdemeanor. I think he did a couple of months, and he came back out and was reelected, right? And when that happened, then they brought on the control board under a Democratic administration control board. Okay. Now the Republicans are threatening to bring back the control board if Trump wins. So we're spinning wheels, right? We're spinning wheels. If we had statehood, we wouldn't be an issue. But you have to ask yourself, why did they go after Barry? Because Barry stood in the way of their plans for D.C. If Marion Barry had had the power, D.C. wouldn't have seen 20,000, 40,000 black people displaced. You wouldn't see the disintegration of Chocolate City. Okay, you wouldn't have seen gentrification on steroids. He stood in the way of that. He had rent control. He took care of the elderly. He was blocking their plans. And what's my proof of that? Because who became mayor after his reelection, after the control board? Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams is the architect of gentrification in Washington, D.C. He ran around the country advocating to get corporations to come here and wealthy people to come here to invest in Washington, D.C. All right, sound good on the surface, right? But he knew what the end result was going to be. And what did he offer to entice them to come here? We'll give you 10 years of tax exemption. You ain't got to pay taxes in D.C. for 10 years. You think any small businesses out here got 10 years tax-free? Sankofa Video and Bookstore had to lobby to get a tax abatement for their outrageous escalating property tax. And far as I know, as recent as this broadcast, they still hadn't received the funds. They got voted to get the abatement, but hadn't received it. They still getting tax bills. As of this broadcast, Sankofa, who was awarded an abatement, and we were supporting that. For those who want to know, we at ready to do something. Shout out to my man Daryl Brooks, who funded our effort to save Sankofa, but they still haven't received the funds. They're still in a precarious situation. So Marion Barry was standing in way of that. Fast forward back to Trayon. The last vestiges of gentrification in Washington, D.C. is east of the river. Specifically, his ward, Ward 8, Anacostia to Congress Heights. Is he standing in the way of that? Is he standing in the way of big money? Now, people want to talk about all the things that Trayon hasn't been able to do about. I told you that the first they want to discredit you and then disrupt you. They discredited him when he made the slip about changing the weather. Check out HAARP, HAARP, actual agency of the government that alters weather patterns. Had he said that, it would have been irrefutable. But he made the mistake of saying Jews or the Rothschilds or what have you, which made him vulnerable to as a racist trope, and they came for him, and they still gonna mention that. Okay, but what is? I want y'all to put yourselves in my brother's shoes. We talked about violence, the root causes of violence, of which we are part of. I talked about the food. Again, for those who just joined this Wednesday, August 21st, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., we got Brooklyn busboys and poets screaming, they are trying to kill us. It's a documentary, a bombshell documentary that you want to see. But the one thing they're missing out of that is how that food is actually causing violent behavior in our communities. Who lives in the food deserts? Who has one grocery store for the entire ward? That would be Ward 7, by the way. I think Ward 8 has 2. But we need to recognize this brother has gone to how many crime scenes and seen somebody's guts on the street, somebody's brains blown out. How many times? I know for a fact that my brother, as an angry black man in therapy myself, that my brother has to go to therapy to deal with all that violence that he's seen, that blood. What would that do to his mind? What would it do to someone to say, "Oh, he went on vacation when he did a"? If you saw a dead body every other day for how long he been in office? How long Trump been in office? Was 6 years? I don't know. Whatever. Over 5 years. I think that's a safe assumption. Over 5 years. Every other day you see somebody's blood on the street, and you got to talk to that family and grieving people. I think you will need a prompt to invest vacation as well. All right, what's the cost to see it? There's no cost to see the film. There's no cost to see the film. All right. That is why a lot of people are not aware of our campaign, because campaigning costs money. To get in front of to get 1,000 lawn signs across the city and get people to put those 1,000 lawn signs up, and to get something in your mailbox. Do you know how much it costs to get direct mail in your mailbox? $50,000, $50,000 to $100,000, depending on how heavy the paper is, just to get everybody in the mailbox, right? So I've only raised $5,000. So there we go. The revolution won't be funded. Revolution won't be funded. Anybody want to join this conversation? Feel free to send me a request. Right along Fenty and Bowser for this. But oh yeah, you've been chiming in, right and exact. Okay, and the FBI threat to harm Rashid's more kids if she didn't go along with him setting them up. Oh, is that right? Rashid's more is the woman, the bitch that set me up, as Mary Barry would say. Oh wow, I did not know that. The FBI squeezed the kids, huh? Squeezed her over her kids. Okay. That's how they get down. So I wish I could send strength and energy to my brother. I wish that we all could, as the church goers, the Holy Rose will say, lay hands on him, lay hands on him. But I want us to stop being so scared. I really, really do. Like I said, I was a few minutes late starting this. I was scheduled to start this at 9 o'clock. Had a phone call right before going on. I won't say the person's name. And they was like, come on, watch yourself, because you could be next. I want y'all to watch the Chicago 8. I think it's still on Netflix. If I'm not, I hope it's still on Netflix. Called the Chicago 8. And I think it's apropos because we, the week of before the Democratic National Convention. But the last time, I don't know if it was the last time, I don't know if it's accurate enough, but in 1968, there was a Democratic National Convention in Chicago then. I don't know if that was the last time it was in Chicago, but it would be extremely apropos if it was the last time it was in Chicago. Okay? That's why the film is called Chicago 8. In Chicago 8, Abbie Hoffman, the white guy who discovered Christopher Columbus, the FBI's COINTELPRO program, because he was paranoid. Everybody was saying that he was crazy. You must be on acid, thinking the feds are watching you, bugging your phones, until they found out proof. When somebody broke into, you can't make this shit up, y'all. Can't make this shit up. Somebody broke into the FBI field office in Media, Pennsylvania. In Media, Pennsylvania, somebody broke into the FBI. You know what I'm saying? They broke into the FBI satellite office. You're a badass. And they found the evidence of the existence of the COINTELPRO program. So the only reason we know about the existence of the FBI's illegal COINTELPRO program is because some activists broke into their office, into their files. That's how we got the files. Because if you try to go through the legal means, what they call it, FOI, the whatever that crap is, when you have to submit FOIA or whatever, try to get information from, they're gonna black it out. Re-redact it. I think that's the term. We're gonna be blacked out. But they got the whole script. That's the only reason why we know. The only reason why we know. But the Chicago 8 was Democratic National Convention, and there was riots. The Chicago police attacked everybody and brutalized them because they was marching and protesting. This was the Vietnam War. King had been assassinated. Robert Kennedy has been assassinated, and this, it was a volatile year, '68. Okay, so the FBI charged 8 activists with inciting these riots. Wasn't the police beating people's asses, but they charged these activists for inciting the riots at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. One of those defendants was Bobby Seale, the co-founder of the Black Panther Party. Yeah, that Black Panther Party. The victim also of the FBI and COINTELPRO. And he was tied to a chair and gagged in courtroom because he was demanding to represent himself as a lawyer, which was his right to do. But he was a black man, and a black man off that, they off that Dred Scott shit. They don't have any. There's no laws that a black man would have a white man honor. I'm making a mockery of the ruling, the Supreme Court ruling on the Dred Scott case. There's nothing to force a white man to respect the liberty of a black man. It's still on the books. Hasn't been redacted. FBI threatened him with see, okay. All right, anybody else want to? Okay, cool. Thank y'all, my smart people. Freedom of Information Act. At least I had the acronym spelled correctly. I said FOIA. Okay? Freedom of Information Act. If you try to get the Freedom of Information Act, the legal means, it will give you a piece of paper and with a bunch of black redacted lines. Okay? So COINTELPRO, the existence of it, again, is only because people liberated that information. So my point is this. When the people, and again, Chicago 8, hopefully it's still on Netflix or look up the film. One of the defendants took the stand. And when they said that he was indicted by the FBI, he said, I want to thank my mom, my dad, for believing in me. I accept this indictment as a testimonial of years of hard work and sacrifice and vigilance. And, that's how he took it. He took that indictment like he was on a fucking Olympic stage. And if and when the FBI sees fit to knock on my door or, pull me over in the whitest, wealthiest area of my district, I'm going to be honored. I will be honored. I would have then felt like I have actually done something with my life. I have become a threat that is worthy of the FBI. Mm-hmm. Too many of us are scared. Too many of us are scared. Let me give y'all something. Two things. I told y'all earlier that I lost my job at the post office. Last real job I had was selling stamps to the post office. I had it for 9 years. And ironically, I got fired for making anti-war statements to a congressman's wife, by the way. They never told me who the congressman was, but, you know, whatever. And I eventually lost everything. So when you lose everything, you lose everything you own. You lose everything you own. Once you lose everything, you fear nothing. So you're like, what are you going to do to me? When you lose everything, you fear nothing. Remember that. And the other thing is, one of the beautiful things about getting older, the older you get, the less fear you had. No one told me that, so I'm sharing it with you. As you get older, you are less fearful. Okay? I want you to imagine, like, you get pulled over by the police and you're 20. Oh my God, you're hand on the hill, 10 and 2 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Or getting out, laying on the ground, spread eagle and shit, right? That's what you do in your 20s. Imagine you 70, right? And you get pulled over by the police. You're going to be like, what? Somebody half your age talking to you like, son, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? So get out, lay down on the street, spread your eagle. I'm not getting out this. It's a whole different conversation. Whole different conversation. You know? I never forget I had a conversation with some brothers. This was men. Some serious men. It was a round table with some serious men. Dudes who had a higher physicality than me. And I ain't no punk. But these dudes was higher. Like, I don't think I could have whooped any of these dudes that was in the circle that I'm talking to, right? And the question was, what would you do if a police officer slapped you in your face? I'm ashamed to say that the majority, 4 out of 5, said either they would press charges, they would file a complaint, they would sue. Guess who's the only person who said, smack me and I smack you back? And I'm not talking hyperbole. Is that the word? I had proof. I was accosted by the police. Sharon Pratt Kelly was the mayor. So what year is that? Sharon Pratt Kelly was mayor. This is when Barry was locked up, y'all. I got into beef with the police when Mary Barry was locked up. So I can't think of the year off top. But it was, fortunately for me, don't try this at home. Fortunately for me, it was front of the Four Seasons Hotel in Georgetown. So friends of mine was in a Jeep, and we had just left Haynes Point, and the only thing we was guilty of is that we was drinking beer in the Jeep. That's the only thing we was guilty of, drinking beer in the Jeep, okay? And I had jumped out, it was like bumper to bumper traffic in Georgetown. I jumped out the Jeep, go get these girls' phone number, whatever, and I threw my beer in the trash can. And I did that before I talked to the girls, so I'm not even convinced they even saw me with a beer, because I threw the beer away before I approached the girls' car. The beer away, and then I'm talking to girls. And while I'm talking to the girls, I see police, and I get the number. Get the number. I go back in the Jeep. When I jump, the Jeep, the top is off, so I just jumped back in the Jeep, and I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, the feds back there, watch out. And when we get to the next block, 3 cops pulled up, whoop, 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 and they was like guns drawn, making a spectacle, like they did my brother Trayon. They didn't pull us over, license and registration, woo, woo, woo. They tried to make a spectacle of us, 3 young black men in a nice Jeep, and they wanted us to lay down on the ground in the middle of the street in front of everybody, in front of the Four Seasons Hotel. Now, my 2 companions, the driver and the guy in the front seat, was scared, and they complied. Not me, bro. I had on a fresh linen short set. I was like, I'm not laying on the ground. I'm like, you better give this dude a ticket or talk to the driver. I ain't got nothing to do with whatever, the problem is. You know what I'm saying? I knew an injustice when I saw one. So I was not going to submit to be humiliated, to lay down in the street for nothing, right? So one officer comes over to me and he punches me right in my face because I'm refusing to comply. He punches me in my face. I'm like, and we get into it, right? So I have hit a police officer in his fucking mouth before, okay? I have done that and survived. I wouldn't try this at home. Don't do this on the side of the street. You better have some witnesses, but I did that, all right? Now, when I did that, and my friends to this day, to my friends, they always say that, I dropped the cop. I did not drop the cop. I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. I don't want to ever get caught in a lie. I did not drop the cop. I hit him with a two-piece. I did stumble him a little bit, but he just practically slipped. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a bunch of equipment on, so the balance is not a real thing. Remember that. They ain't got the balance. All this equipment on. That's why they can't run and catch nobody. That's why I would shoot your ass in the back. Okay? So he slipped. And when he slipped, it was like, officer down. And then, 3 cops jumped on me. And they did beat me up. I did get beat up. I'm not telling you I got a freebie. I got beat up. You remember Do the Right Thing? When Giancarlo Esposito, excuse me, y'all, Giancarlo Esposito. I hope that I'm doing justice to my brother's name. He's Italian, a black Italian. Bugging out and Do the Right Thing. They beat his ass in the backseat. That was me with the Billy Club and all that shit. Got beat up, but I never got on the ground. Never got on the ground. Never got on the ground, and I'm very proud of that. But they wanted to make a spectacle out of me. Now, I got charged with, assault a police officer, resisting arrest, and blowing up the World Trade Building, all kinds of shit, right? And I got arrested on a Sunday. And no, excuse me, it was Saturday. So I stayed in jail all the way to Monday. And this is when DC General was open, and there was a jail cell in DC General. I was held in DC General. Because they didn't take me to the hospital. They took me to central booking, and when I got to central booking, they refused to admit me because I'm bloody. They're like, nah, you ain't bring him in here because if he die in our cell, it's on us. You gotta take that dude. You gotta take him to the hospital. So they took me to the hospital. I get checked out, whatever. The officer interviews me to get a story. Blah 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 blah. Now, because we was in front of the Four Seasons Hotel, this is what saved my black ass. Because I was in front of the Four Seasons Hotel. There was some wealthy white people outside who saw all this. And a white woman, I wish I knew her name, she made a statement to the police on the scene. You know what this white woman said? She said, I saw the whole thing. Those young men were in their car, and the police ordered them to get on the ground, and the other gentleman refused to do so, and that cop punched him in his face, and he defended himself. She told the truth. Made a statement, boom, boom. So when I get to court on Monday, all charges will drop because of her statement. If we didn't have her statement, I would have probably got railroaded. And I'm telling you what they would have done. They would have said, all these charges against you, you can cop guilty and do 30 days in jail or something. That's how they do. I would have went to court and trial, but they 90%. Over 90% of all the convictions in America doesn't go to trial. They cop a plea. And I hope that my brother Trayon has the strength to not cop a plea. I don't care if he's guilty. I hope he doesn't cop a plea. I hope he goes to trial. I hope he rolls the dice. I hope he has transparency. I hope he has the wherewithal to seek justice. Because even if he did something wrong, whatever he did wrong doesn't compare nearly to the crimes that these organizations have done to us. I'm talking about the FBI. I'm talking about Jack Evans. I'm talking about the system. Now they want to make a spectacle out of our brother, and I'm not going to join in on that. That was the whole point of this. And I'm sorry if I had to give y'all a round robin, holistic storytelling hour to make that point known to you. But I am not. It's a quote from. I'm really gonna get in trouble now. Quote from Farrakhan that was played on the Grammy Award-winning album of Killer Mike, and he says, "When you see a man fall, don't laugh. Don't laugh, because when you do that, you're making yourself available to the same forces that take him down to take you down. You know, Killer Mike's Grammy Award went out, and they made a spectacle out of him when he got the Grammy. Remember that he got arrested that night? We still don't know what that was about. He got arrested for that Grammy that after the Grammy, during the Grammys, at the Grammys that night. Make a spectacle out of him. That's what they do. That's what they do. Trying to make spectacles out of us. Anytime we get some shine, they try to take it. Those 3 black girls got the on the podium, try to take that girl's bronze medal away from her. Take a shine. You know, Sha'Carri Richardson should have 2 gold medals right now. Her and some other girl, some other woman who was her last hurrah at the Olympics. They changed the rules at the last minute, say you can't go through this gate. This is you gotta go around the color entrance. You know, and by the time they get around through the color entrance, they wasn't able to warm up. And people who are athletic know that you have to warm up, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. You risk an injury. And so the older sister realized that she can't compete if she's gonna warm up, so she declined. And then in that race, it was an empty lane because of that. And Sha'Carri didn't warm up, but she took the chance, and she came in second. So she got a silver. But the girl that won, her time wasn't as good as Sha'Carri's time when she qualified, which means she would have definitely won that race. They take our shine and they make spectacles out of us. So please, black people, don't join in over my brother's misfortune today. That breaks my heart. I had people laughing. Oh, yeah, I knew something was wrong with that brother. I knew something. Trayon is part of our indigenous leadership. Trayon was grassroots grown, mentee of Marion Barry. He came through the ranks. You can't take that brother and just throw him out with the bathwater like that. You know, there's very few indigenous leadership that we had, and I would put Trayon's track record or whatever he's been charged with, or hopefully not going to be charged, but you know, it doesn't look like this is fun and games. Whatever he's accused of pales in comparison to what Jack Evans is guilty of. So don't come at me talking about this with Trayon. I'm gonna hit you with Jack Evans. And that is the double truth, Ruth. How about that? All right. So that's our time. I think I went over in time. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to do an hour. Anybody had something to say? Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Make sure I did not miss anybody. I appreciate you all. Appreciate you all. DJ One Love, you my brother, man. My brother. Demont Picasso. Much love to y'all. All right. Anybody got anything else to say? We're gonna wrap this up. I hope it was informative. I hope that y'all see I got the Stevie Wonder right here, Demont Picasso right there, Demont Picasso piece right there. You know, I had to get a little piece because you know my man, you know, he's done blown up. I can't afford the big joints no more. I got to get the little layaway plan over here. My man Picasso doing Stevie Wonder over here. But one thing that I want to close with is Stevie Wonder said, I'll make a massacre of this quote, so let me get it together. Stevie Wonder said something to this effect, that success or failure is up to the gods. So we celebrate the struggle. All right? Success or failure, that's up to, you know, the gods. So we celebrate the struggle. All right? And I saw a sister today, she had a quote on her shirt that says that life begins when you start thinking beyond work and play. When you start thinking beyond work and play. So beyond your 9 to 5, whatever you do to survive, and beyond the little party you want to go to and have your fun, once you start thinking beyond work and play, that's when you start really living. That's living. And we are all deserving to live. And I hope that we would give the opportunity of our indigenous leadership an opportunity to live. Because the FBI and other agencies have been diametrically opposed to our existence and will to live. Remember that. The FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, tried to get MOK to commit suicide, wrote letters, sent stuff to his wife, made documentation of his transgressions, tried to shame him and discredit him, disrupt him. And fortunately, the media at that time, because it was more than 6 corporations controlled most of what we see here and read at that time, I don't think they would have worked this time. I think they would have been successful. Because 6 corporations, it's easy to get 6 people to say yes, and it is to get 26 people to say yes. And I think that those numbers will play out in terms of the media ownership, at least. So let's think about, before we jump on the side of our oppressors and applaud the demise of anyone who has exhibited authentic efforts to address our issues. Okay? I'm not talking about rooting for everybody black. I am not saying that. Okay? Everybody my skin folk ain't my kinfolk. Candace Owens, yeah, a broke clock can be right twice a day. So just because she says something you agree with doesn't anywhere negate all the crazy shit she's talking about in the platform that she represents. Clarence Thomas, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, all these sucker diggers in the GOP, all those are not my skin folk, okay? And definitely not my kinfolk, all right? And neither should it be yours. So I just want to say that we're living in exciting times. It's supposed to be a Chinese proverb, a Chinese curse to live in exciting times, but I think it's a beautiful thing. May you live in exciting times. And I'll leave you with this, a shot of Shakur. And the world of insanity is the strong that goes crazy. It's the weak that pretends there's nothing wrong. And I'm here to tell you that something is very, very wrong. All right? I hope to see all of y'all at the 8th Street Festival, September 21st, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I need 100 people to show up at that event so we can turn the biggest block party in Washington, D.C. into the biggest political rally. Okay? Get a shirt, meet me out there, and let's make something happen. Okay? And for those of you who can make it, Wednesday, August 21st, at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., they're trying to kill us documentary. It's a political fundraiser. It's no cost to enter. For those who have it, we need it, but there's no cost to see this film, and it might save your life. Bring someone with you to watch this film. It might just save your life. Shout out to Chris Paul, the NBA All-Star, the guy from all the State Farm commercials, who took his money and put it to good use. And that's what they don't want to see. They don't want to see black people addressing their own issues, addressing their own problems, and put their money to address the issues in their community. And this is what we should be holding our elected officials accountable for. What are you going to do for us? And Trayon was making an effort to do something for us. He was making an effort to do something, which is a lot more than what I can say about some other people. Okay? So, peace out, y'all. Stay safe, stay strong, stay woke. Share this with other people. Comment on it. Let me know what you think, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But by all means, I hope that brother comes out with his head held high, standing erect, his short frame. I hope he's standing tall when he comes out. All right? And I hope whatever he's accused of, he is found innocent. And I hope that he doesn't feel the need to do anything other than stand tall, because we are not falling on the sword. We're not here to bring other people down with us, and we are here to change this decadent system, because we need a revolution of values. It's been Kimon Freeman representing We Act Radio on the radical side of Martin King Avenue. Do something. Do something. Peace. If you're willing to fight.